Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Bonnie Rose, the A Coach. Bonnie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy we were able to connect.
Our pleasure. Let's go back in time a little bit because I know you've had some interesting changes going on in your life and in your business. How did you get started?
In 2011, I was paralyzed by a rare illness called Guillain-Barré syndrome and had to leave my corporate job in accounting and was left fairly disabled and ended up on disability. I was physically and cognitively impaired and had to begin the first part of my healing journey. So I had 2 kids at the time who were 9 and 11. And then I had another one in 2013 and another in 2016, surprise. And when I found out I was pregnant in 2016, I was like, I got to do something to supplement my husband's income. He's a skilled laborer. And with a 4th child on the way, we were kind of already struggling. And I got a cutting machine for my birthday and started with making decals and super low budget. I think I started with like $50, to be honest with you. And then about 6 months later, a friend of mine asked me if I could make her son a t-shirt for Christmas. And I was like, I don't know, but I'll give it a shot. And did that. And that was kind of how Posh Notions was born. Was from that saying yes to something I wasn't sure I could do, which was super cool. And started making, so I call logo gear, which is basically branded apparel for businesses and organizations, and kind of just developed that over the last, it's been 5 years now. And just grew that to what it is today. And then just actually, pandemic shut everybody down, right? And I had to pivot, just like a lot of other people, a lot of other business owners, because no one was getting together, really needed matching t-shirts at the time. And I learned how to sew, which was another one of those things where somebody was like, can you make this? And I'm like, I don't sew, but I'm going to give it a shot. And so I started with some vintage materials, some upcycled materials, and learned how to sew to make masks for people. I did a lot of custom work, custom masks for businesses and organizations, and decided I wanted to build an upcycling company. And in December 2020, ended up on TV because of that. So that's super condensed version.
Yes, I'm sure the longer version should be in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, ended up on TV. Talk a little bit about that.
So my mentor and a good friend of mine, David Meltzer, kind of took me
on the show.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So you're familiar with him and his work. He's an amazing, humble human being. Oh my, I have goosebumps just mentioning him because he's literally helped me change my life. When I met David in 2019, I was probably the sickest I had been in the last decade, except for the original 6 to 12 months of, being paralyzed, because I developed multiple other chronic illnesses along the way. The one that hit me the hardest was rheumatoid arthritis. So when I met him, I was actually coming off of a drug that was supposed to help me and wrecked my life. And I went to him for business advice, and he told me, you're not going to do anything until you get your health in order. And it was a huge slap in the face, but one that I desperately needed. And with his guidance, I was able to get myself healthier. I am healthier than I have been probably since before getting sick. Albeit I still have these diagnoses, but I'm managing and living with them as if they kind of, not gonna say they don't exist, but they kind of just, pop up and they're not ruining my life like they were. So I was in David's private coaching group, and he had taken his show 2-Minute Drill from YouTube and Instagram, and I think it was on Instagram, mostly on YouTube, to global TV through Bloomberg, and then Amazon Prime. And it's a pitch competition. So I was kind of hinting around that I wanted to do it, but not really seriously thinking I was going to do it, because the people that were coming on had like NFL backers, $1 million contracts. I'm like, I don't belong here. But he, late November, I think it was, of 2020, he was like, everybody who hasn't applied needs to apply. And that means you, Bonnie. And I was like, oh, okay, I kind of got to do this now. So I applied, not thinking I was going to get picked. I did what I kind of said I was going to do, kind of put it behind me. And a few days later, got the email. It was like, you're going to be on TV. And I had 2 weeks to learn how to write a pitch, and managed to write a pitch that won my episode.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a fascinating, terrifying, exhilarating journey. You know how we all kind of like imagine ourselves on TV as kids, but not really like thinking it's actually gonna happen, because I was like, yeah, that was kind of that situation where I was like, I was very much in awe. It was very surreal for several months. Honestly, I kind of had reverse imposter syndrome after that I had to grapple with, like, how did I get here? And so anyways, yes, that's what happened. It was a fantastic experience. I am forever grateful, because although I am not building the upcycling business I pitched on the show, what happened was people started to get interested in how I got to where I was. And once I started telling that story, I realized that coaching and speaking, which I wanted to do several years ago, and again, didn't think I could do and nobody would listen, was actually something I was really good at, and I could really help people. And I had, since I had a whole decade of practice of healing and getting over these things and kind of leaving my mental illness in the past, this stuff is teachable. So it's been an amazing, crazy, not planned out journey, and I love it. And now I'm really doing something that energizes me instead of exhausts me. Like, I love making branded apparel. I love seeing people's faces light up when I hand them the finished product, but it's also a very physically taxing kind of job or career or whatever you want to call it. And this talking to people and helping people, like, really, and I know it sounds so cliche, but it fills me up so much that I'm actually finding it hard to go to sleep at night now. Like, excess energy, which anybody who's got any kind of chronic illness knows, energy is really hard to come by. And we're taught to really use it sparingly and efficiently, because it tends to be less than most people's. So
if I want to make sure I've got the story straight. Sure. So you went from creating these products yourself to then pitching for an upcycling business, winning that pitch competition, and then you've pivoted now because of the response you got from people wanting to hear your story, wanting to hear how you dealt with, overcame, lived with your illnesses to still become successful. Now you are recently launching the coaching business because so many people have asked you that you're now teaching them kind of how you did it. Is that right? Absolutely. Yeah. I told my coach in 2019 that I wanted to coach and speak, but I was like, what am I going to talk to people about? What am I going to share? Like, I didn't feel like I had accomplished anything. And so I feel like that being on TV was kind of like a gateway, like a sign from the universe. It was like, hey, now you've done something really big. So now you can kind of do what you want to do. And yeah, so like I said, it was not a linear process by any means. It was not something like, hey, I'm going to do this and then this. There's no way I could have planned that. So yes, I am coaching now and I love it. I'm going to be speaking here shortly. So it's super exciting. That is absolutely incredible. For the folks that you're coaching, who's an ideal client for you?
So I coach people who are ready to make a change, who have decided that they no longer want to grapple with their anxiety. They know that something else better is out there for them, but they're not quite sure how to go about the process. So I was full transparency. I was medicated for anxiety and depression for about 25 years. And in 2017, told my doctor after some issues, I was like, I quit, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. The medication I realized was causing more problems than it was helping me. And once I kind of did that, was left with, well, I still have the symptoms. How do I deal with this? And so, yes, I use everything that I've learned, everything that my coaches and my mentors have taught me, my lived experience, to pass that on to other people.
That is absolutely wonderful. It may be too new, but what are some of the biggest mistakes either you made or that they're making in this process that you're now able to help them with because you went through it?
Consistency. I think that goes across the board for most anything new that somebody wants to start, whether it's a business or taking classes or dealing with anxiety. Patience and grace absolutely are at the top of that list. I feel like as a society, unfortunately, a lot of meds are thrown around. It's a quick fix. It makes you feel better. And we're left not really knowing how to deal with the core issues that cause the anxiety in the first place. Myself included. I started meds in high school, not even really knowing what they were. So yeah, those are probably the top three. I did not have patience with myself. I am used to catching on to things fairly quickly, all the way back to childhood. So when things didn't work out, I was throwing, adult temper tantrums and also getting really down on myself. And I think that's another thing. That's why I say grace is you really need to allow yourself to make those mistakes, brush yourself off, and keep trying, because that's really the only way through.
Absolutely. What do you like best about what you're doing now?
The impact that I'm able to have, that I never believed that I would be able to have, and watching people's transformations and how calm people realize they can actually be when they learn that although we can't control everything outside of us, we can control our responses to it. And we're not really taught that as children, a lot of us. And I think it's especially important with everything that the entire world has gone through the past year and a half, is that our responses, not reactions to things, are what really makes up our life and how we feel.
That makes a lot of sense. For our folks watching or listening who are interested in learning more about what you're doing now, is there a place that we can send them?
Absolutely. So my website is bonnierosetheacoach.com. I am still Posh Notions on Instagram because I'm making a transition. But if anybody wants to reach out and DM me there, I can also send them the information they're looking for.
All right. Well, this has been Seth Greene with Bonnie Rose, the A Coach. Bonnie, thanks so much for joining us and sharing some of your story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.